Switch on the gas. Watch this boy blast. I done came through and I done grabbed the other.
What's going on YouTube? In today's video, we're gonna be working on this 2020 Charger RT. So I'll be doing a full system. If you wanna check that out, make sure you stay tuned and let's get to it. So as you can see, we are gonna be doing a small sub, you know, a 10-inch with the ported box. So it's gonna be a kicker right here. And also, I'll have all the items listed down below in the description if you wanna check them out. But like I said, this is a 10-inch. It's a Comp VR. And this 10-inch is the dual 4-ohm version, so it's gonna be wired up in parallel, so it'll give us a 2-ohm load at the amplifier. But this is the box, and then right here are some of the items that I'm gonna be using. The DS18 6x9s for the front and rear, and then this is the model right here. And this is pretty much what they look like with the bullet tweeters right in the middle. So we're gonna be trying those out, and they come with the grills, but I won't be using these grills because I'll be leaving the factory grill so it looks factory. And you know, we have the 5-channel amplifier for the speakers and the subwoofer all in one, and this is the amp right here that I'll be using, the 9-wire or speed wire. So this will make the install much cleaner and faster as well, so that'll protect it with this loom on here. And then we got the 3.5s for the front, the amp kit, RCAs, and this is a 4-gauge amp kit for this one. It only requires 4-gauge. And for signal, I'll be using these output converters right over here. So this Metro one right here, one by pack for the subwoofer, because that is a 6-channel amplifier actually. So it's gonna be running the full system. And I also got these just in case, because on these Dodges, sometimes whenever you remove the speakers, they don't want to send signal to the aftermarket amplifier. So we might need these. If not, then I'll just, you know, keep them for later. Once I finish the system, then I'll go ahead and pull off the headliner to do the headliner Starlight kit. And you know, it's gonna take longer, so I'll just try to finish this today, and then I'll work on that, and I'll show you guys how I do that as well. All right guys, I'm gonna start off by tapping into the original amplifier, because this car does have a factory amplified system. As you can see right here, it does have the factory Alpine sound system, and this one does come with the factory 8-inch screen, which is a nicer one. But I'm not gonna be touching this area. I'm just gonna go directly right under here where the amplifier is at, and I'll be interfacing with that so we can run the signal and output to the back of the car for the amplifier. So there's 2 plugs down here on the amplifier, and I'm gonna see if I can show you real quick. I'll just put this right here, and they're right here for the harnesses in this area right there, that 1 and 2. So you have to pull them down, and then we'll, you know, mess with them. Let me see if I can pull them out real quick. It's just a really tight area for the camera, but see, I just pressed it and it pops out. And then this one's still connected, but like, you just press it with your thumb, and then it pops out. These are the 2 plugs that I'll be interfacing with on the factory amplifier. And as you can see, there is some, you know, length right here, but if you want more, you can actually remove this area to get more slack. But I think there's actually enough slack. Because I had pulled off like the clips. There's some clips holding it. If yours is not reaching like this, you can just, you know, like reach it and feel it, and you'll pull them down and you'll get this much slack. And then you don't have to take nothing apart. But if you do want to, you can pry this off, and then there'll be like a 7mm and another 7mm, or you can do it with a Phillips, and they'll just like come off, because this is just, you know, with a flathead screwdriver. But I can show you real quick right over here. So just like this, and then the 2 7s right here, you can take these off. And then this one, and then this just pulls off. And if you do this, it'll give you way more space. So if you reach right in here, the harness is all the way up here, so you know, you'll get that much slack, and then you can play with it. So I might do it like this, I'm not sure, but you don't really have to do all that if you can reach from down there, because you saw it was pretty long. But here you can see, you know, it's just all loomed up. So let me go ahead and start like opening this up so I can splice into it. All right, so I just removed the tape so that we can get a better look right here. And as you can see, these wires are twisted, and the twisted wires is a pair of speaker wires. So that's 1 speaker, 2, 3, and 4. So 2 of these are the rear speakers, and then 2 of these are the front speakers. But also over here, there's some more twisted ones because there's also some tweeter wires in here, and that's why, you know, there's others right here. But let me go ahead and figure out which ones I'm gonna be using, and I'll try to get back to you right now when I start hooking these up. So I went ahead and zip tied my 9-wire right here, my speed wire. You can see it's just hanging right over here, but I'm gonna start doing the connections, and here you can see all the colors. So I'm starting off with the driver's side, or the left side, which is this white and black. So this is the left channel. So that'll do this door, and then also the top speaker. So what I'm gonna have to do is, there's a mid-range right over here, which this is gonna be for this one, and then on the white plug right here is gonna be for the top 3.5. So I'll be cutting these two together and joining them as one to this one output, so that they can do like the same channel on that amplifier. So let me go ahead and cut them, and I'll show you how I joined them right now. And these right here are gray with the yellow, and then gray with the purple stripe on this plug right here. That'll be your mid-range. And on this plug, on the white plug right here, it's gonna be the gray and yellow stripe, and then also the gray with the orange stripe. And that's gonna be the top speaker dash again right over here. So this is the high signal, and then this is like the mid right here. So I'll have to join them together so that I can get them both playing on the same 4-channel signal right over here. And you can see where they're twisted together, so you know it's one speaker pair, and then that's the other speaker pair right there. So let me join them real quick right over here. So here's the left channel that's done already, and that's the output side to the speakers. And here you can see that my white wire, which is a positive, gonna be going to the gray with the orange stripe, and then also gray with the purple stripe. And that's these two channels joined together, so the mid and then the high. So they'll be in the same channel. That's the positive side, and then the negative side with the stripe right here, white and black, it's gonna go to the both gray with the yellow stripe, and then gray again with the yellow stripe. So I just gotta tape these up, but that's how they look right there. And then that way they'll play under the same channel. And if you do put like a tweeter right up here, you do want to put a crossover on it, or you know, something like that to protect it. But if it's a full range speaker like the one that I'm putting, then you should be good because it's gonna be built into it. So let me go ahead and continue with the next one. It's gonna be the right front channel, and I'm gonna do the same thing, and it's gonna be this gray one right here. So this gray and black and gray will be our right channel, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So let me go ahead and do that. So for my front right speaker, it's gonna be on this plug right here, and it's gonna be the dark green and purple, and then dark green and yellow. So I'll be cutting this one right over here. That's for my mid-range. And then on the top of the dash is gonna be this one right here for my 3.5-inch speaker, which is the gray, light green, and then gray and dark green. So I'll cut that one as well. And I'm gonna do the same thing as the front left channel. I'm gonna be joining these two together, and then into the gray wire right here for my front right channel. So let me do that real quick, and then, you know, I'll have that output as well. And here's my front right channel all soldered up. So my positive side, which is the gray wire, is going to the car side, which is gonna be the dark green and purple, and then the gray and dark green. And then on the right side for the negative is the gray with the black stripe on my wiring side, and then on the car side is gonna be the green with the yellow stripe, and then gray with the light green stripe. And there you can see where I joined them together, just how I did the front left, because these are the ones that have the separate dash tweeters, and that way I can get both of them playing on the same frequency with the channels and stuff, because it's just a 4-channel amplifier. But if you wanted to do this separate, you don't have to do this. You can actually do like a 6-channel amp, or, you know, or multiple, you know, amplifiers, and then you can separate them if you really want to. But it's not gonna be a problem. But you know, you can separate it if you like to. I just gotta close these up, and then I'll go ahead and work on the rear channels right here. But as you can see, these are cut right now because these are gonna be used. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it right now, but most likely I'll try to end up using the rear channels because of the way that I have it set up right now. I'm gonna be using like output converters, but you can use other processors, you know, to merge the signals and all that. But most likely for today, I'll see what I'll do, but most likely I'll be using the rear channels as signal, and if not, I'll try to play around and see which one sounds better. But let me go ahead and tape these up, and then I'll go ahead and start playing with the rear channels too. All right, so for my left rear channel, I'm gonna be using these, the green, and then green and black stripe right here. And on the car side is going to be on the plug right over here, and it's going to be the dark green with the tan for positive, and then dark green with the gray stripe for negative. So let me cut these and I'll just join them together right now. Alright, so my left rear channel is done right here, and the positive side, remember, it was the dark green with the tan, and then my negative, the dark green with the light gray, and that's going of course to the green with the black stripe, and then the positive was just green on my wiring right over here for the speed wire. And then now you can see that the plug is getting, you know, smaller, and this is going to be the last channel right here for the right rear. So I'll go ahead and cut that as well right over here. So it's going to be our rear right, and now that's all the wire right there. So I'll be joining this one to my last channel, which is going to be the purple wire right here. So let me go ahead and do that. And there's my right rear channel right over here. So my positive side is the purple. I'm gonna go to the dark green with the brown stripe, and then my negative side on the purple with the black stripe is going to the yellow with the gray stripe. So that's all my speaker wires right here. I just gotta tape these up, you know, and then this is pretty much what I ended up with, the cut plug right here with all the front and rear channels in this one. And then the 2 tweeter front wires or dash speakers were right over here. So I'll just leave these like this, and I'm gonna figure out on the signal right now. I'm gonna test these out if I'm gonna be able to get the signal from the radio, or if I'll have to interface, you know, with this and that plug right there. But let me go ahead and tape these up and check that out right now. So for signal on my amplifier, I'm not gonna be interfacing with the dash speaker signal, the high frequency right here. I'm gonna try to grab it all off the plug right over here, which is the rear signal, and the front, mids, and high signal. So that's what I'll be doing, and I'm gonna tape these up, and then I'll show you how I do this right here. So let me close this up real quick. Here I went ahead and taped it up so it looks just like factory, and this will plug back into the original spot on the amplifier, because we are going to be using, you know, its outputs, except it's going to be on the other plug, that smaller plug that I have right here. And these are already set and done because we just, you know, hardwired everything right here. That's going to be the output to all the speakers from our 4-channel amplifier, or, you know, 5-channel, because I do have a 5-channel. But as far as like speakers, yeah, it's a 4-channel. And this blue wire is going to be the turn on to the amplifier. So I'll have to run this somewhere else, but for now I'm going to tape all these up just like this so I can clean it up, and then I'll just have this sticking out so I can go ahead and run that, and that'll keep it cleaner. And then I can continue, you know, wiring up the harness right over here for our output on the output converters. So let me close that up. And this is what it looks like all taped up. So it's pretty close to factory, you know, you don't see no wires and stuff except for this one, because I do have to tap into an ignition or accessory in the car. That way the amplifier will turn on, but I'll leave this on like this for now, since, you know, I gotta finish doing the actual output converter wiring. So let me get to that first. All right guys, so for my signal, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna go ahead and use this plug again, and I'm gonna be using the front left tweeter on the dash, or this speaker right here. I already removed the cover as well. So this signal right here, we had cut it earlier, and I'm gonna be using that wire and running a whole new wire up the dash and then right to the center, because there's no center dash speaker in here. And what that's gonna do is so his Bluetooth still works. So whenever he has Bluetooth, like the phone calls will be sounding right through the middle, and then other than that, you won't hear it around. But that's what it'll do right there, because that way he gets to keep his factory amp, and you don't have to do anything else like a, you know, a processor or anything like that. So that will work perfect right there. So I'll be running this wire up through there and then putting a factory speaker. I'll probably grab one of these, either this one or the other side, and I'll put it right there, because I am going to replace these dash ones with the aftermarket 3.5 right here. So you can also purchase and, you know, do your own separate speaker there, but I'll just be reusing this because we don't need a lot of power for Bluetooth. It's just for phone calls, so that'll be just perfect right there. And that's an empty hole, which is ready for the speaker. So let me go ahead and pop this speaker out, and I'll move it over there. And I did remove the pillar right here, and they just pop out, you know, and then there's like a plastic you just pop out through there as well. They're pretty simple, and all this just pries up with a flathead. I just went ahead and did it like that, and then you pretty much pull it up and then you slide it back towards you. But let me go ahead and try that. Alright guys, so I got my speaker out. The factory one is right over here, and you can see where the plug is at. I got the aftermarket here. I am going to be soldering this wire to the original wiring of the car, because I am going to be retaining this plug so I can relocate this speaker into the dash for the Bluetooth audio. So I'll be cutting it, and it is kind of short. I just took off some of the tape, but I'll be cutting it like right here in half, and I'll be, you know, soldering my new speaker to the factory wiring. And then that plug, I'll be extending it so it can reach down to the amplifier. So I'll just be cutting it like here and there. And then I got the plug right over here. So now I can extend this wire and relocate it. So that wire will run into the front left signal right over here. Because if you remember, we had actually merged them together to the mid of the door, so that way it'll be full range on top and bottom. But now this will be just for Bluetooth in the center of the dash. So let me go ahead and do this real quick. So my dash speaker is here on the center for the Bluetooth, and my aftermarket is already connected as well with the factory wiring. So the positive was the gray with the orange, and then the negative side was the gray with the yellow wire right there. And then I can just tuck these back in and clean it up. And I'll be finishing up with the Bluetooth speaker right over here, hooking them up to this plug. But let me bolt this back up real quick. Alright, so I went ahead and soldered up my passenger side top speaker, and the positive side is gray with the dark green stripe, and then the negative is light gray with the light green, and those are right there. So I'll just go ahead and tuck these up, and I can actually go ahead and put this panel back on, and it just snaps in place. So let me do that. So now that I have all my dash speakers, this is what it looks like. And I did end up using some tapping screws on these because the holes don't line up, since these are a little bit smaller than factory and they don't reach. But I was able to angle them up, and they grab plastic, so it's good. And it's on a tapping screw right over here and here. So 2 screws just like from the factory, just in a different position. But that's what it looks like. And the factory speaker was wide enough, so it was able to use the factory screws, and then the same tapping screws on the driver's side over here. And I did go ahead and solder the wires because, you know, that's the best connection. But also I didn't have the plug and play connector, but you can purchase them. And, you know, that way you don't have to cut this or solder it. But I mean, I don't really mind, because I do like soldering them, because they do get the best connection out of, you know, plugs and stuff like that. So let me just cover this back up with the original part. Here's the wire that I ran from my center channel for the Bluetooth audio into the harness. So, and this is where I'm connecting it on the white plug with the original 3.5 wire that used to go up there, because we remember we had cut it. But I'm just gonna grab the actual signal so that the factory amp can output to the Bluetooth speaker only on phone calls. And it's connected right here. So the red is gonna be positive on the gray with the orange stripe, and then the negative side is on the gray with the yellow stripe. So now that's good. And then I tape these up, and I'm just gonna close them up a little bit here, and I can actually work on the output converter right over here. So for my signal, I'm gonna be doing it as a 2-channel setup. So I went ahead and wired up the 4-channel output converter and this 2-channel output converter. That way they get the same signal out of the 2 channels right here from the rear. So I'm using the dark green with the tan wire as my positive left, and then the dark green with the gray wire for all my negatives on the left channel. And then on the right channel, I'm using the yellow with the gray stripe as my negative, and then the dark green wire with the brown stripe on the positive side for my right channel. So I am using the rear two channels as my output because they are full range, and that way I'll get all the sound out of everything. And I just merged them just like this, but I won't be using these brown wires because I won't need them. And then also right here, it has a 12-volt wire, which is yellow, and they also have a ground and a remote output, but I'm not going to be using these because I don't really like the way that they work. Sometimes they're like delayed or something, so I'm just going to be running my own accessory wire, so I won't be using these. But if you like to use that, then yes, you can use the yellow as a 12-volt wire, and then the black will be your ground wire, and then this will be your output, this blue wire. So you can use that, but like I said, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to run my own remote wire. So let me go ahead and tape these up, and I'm going to get them cleaned up so I can install them. This is what it looks like now that I got it all taped up. I'm pretty much just going to be plugging it in back to the factory amp. That way I can get its signal out to the 4-channel and then the bass amp. So that'll work out right there, and I can just, you know, tie them down, and it'll be a 2-channel setup, but you'll still get full range out of this. And then that Bluetooth speaker will be powered up by the factory amp. And this will give signal to the 5-channel amp, so that way I can get, you know, full range. And the factory amp will be powering only the Bluetooth speaker in the center for like phone calls, and that's it, but no music. So alright guys, so I went ahead and closed it up, and I already, you know, hit all the wires. So that was the signal and output of the speaker wires. And I also did go ahead and mount the bass knob right over here so that he can control his bass. And you know, I just went on under here and hit all the wires so they came out through the back over here. And I did go ahead and mount the amp right here on the back seat. And I got my RCAs, so all the speaker wire in here and the remote bass knob. And then all the power wiring will be in the back under that bottom compartment, but I'll go ahead and do that after because that's the easy part. And last, I'll probably be doing the rear speakers and the door speakers, which are easier to me, but all this was the harder part. Well, not that, but the actual wiring that goes under there. You know, that's where a lot of people have questions or issues because of the amplified system. So let me go ahead and finish installing the wires on this, and I'll go ahead and do the speakers last because they're easier. So I'm just hooking up the wires right now that I ran from the front, all the RCA signals, and then the bass knob signal right here. And those are pretty simple to hook up. You know, there's other videos if you really want to go into depth, or just let me know down below in the comments. But you know, it's just pretty much a left and right signal up in here. And then I have all my power wires right here. On these cars, since the battery's real close, I like to run my ground and power straight to the battery. And I also am gonna run another remote wire to the fuse box, and that way I can, you know, like power up this front wire that's in here, this blue wire right here. Because if you remember, I didn't hook it up in the front, I just left it hanging just in case later on I need to use it. It's already pre-ran. So both of these will get hooked up in the remote wire section right in here in the middle. So both of them will be powered up, but they'll be getting power from the back right here in the fuse box. So I'll be showing you that as well. And then these are all the speaker wires, which are real easy, you know, because they're color coded. So front left is white, the front right is going to be the gray, and left rear is green, and purples are the rights. So they're all going to have the stripes for the negatives, and all the solid colors are just the positives. But I'll just be hooking them up right here and, you know, cleaning it up right now. But I'll go ahead and do that real quick, and then after that I can go ahead and do the power wiring over there with the remote and power. But so far it looks pretty good. You know, it'll look, you know, better once I clean it up right now. And then I can go ahead and do the speakers last. I already started taking off the panels right here. Next time I will be doing the Starlight headliner, so I'm gonna take all this thing apart as well. There you can see it looks a little bit cleaner now. And on this side too, I went ahead and zip tied them and tied them down. And then the wires are just following the factory power wires. Alright guys, so it got late last night and I did go ahead and finish, you know, the amp and the front speakers because it was already dark, so I didn't get to film too much. But I also did the rear speakers, and they're right here. And the speakers fit in like real perfect, so there's no issues there. I was able to use the same bolts on the speakers, so they lined up perfect. And the only one that's harder to get is this back one right here. So that's why it's sticking up a little bit, but it's tan tight, so it's good. Because actually, when I removed them, they were all pretty, you know, loose. Like, I didn't really need to use too much force on them, so they're pretty much all tight right there. And the same way on this one. And on the back bolt, like, you have to get it in with the socket by itself, and then you can do it, you know, as far as it goes, and then with the small ratchet, and then that should get it pretty tight right there. But other than that, if you start it off with just the ratchet and the bolt, it won't fit, because the glass is gonna touch on this, because it's already right there, you can tell. But other than that, I mean, you can get it all tight. It's just a little tricky, but not too bad. And the same way on that one right there. All right guys, so I'm already starting to remove the headliner so I can do the Starlight kit. So I'm installing the sub right now, and you can see I ran the positive and negative to the terminals right here. And this sub is a dual voice coil, and it is a dual 4 ohm. So I'm gonna wire it up to a 2 ohm load on the amplifier. That way I can get the most power out of that one. So since that amp is a 2 ohm stable amp, that's why I got the dual 4 ohm, so I can wire it down to 2 ohms in parallel. So red to red, and then the black to the other black. So that'll keep it down, you know, in half the resistance. So if it's a dual 4 ohm, it'll drop it down to 2. If this was a dual 2 ohm, it would have dropped it to 1 ohm. Or if I want to make this go up, you can also cross the lines. So a positive and a negative, and then you just use the remaining ones to bring it up to 8 ohms. But just like right here in the manual, it'll tell you, you know, I have the dual 4 ohm, and then this is the 2 ohm load, which is what I just did right now. So this black to this black, and then red to red. And then if you want it series, which is higher, you know, an 8 ohm load, then you would just do these two right here and then cross these. So a black with a red, you would cross them. But I want the 2 ohm load, so that's what I'm doing right here. And you know, if you have a dual 2 ohm, it'll give you up to 1 ohm. Dual 2 ohm in series will give you 4 ohm load in series. But since this is a dual voice coil in 4 ohm, and I want 2 ohms, that's why I'm gonna go ahead and do the parallel wiring. So let me just bolt this back up, and I can go ahead and test it on the amplifier. And here you can see on the amplifier's manual, you'll be able to tell, like, they'll tell you how low you can go on your amplifier, but mine says 2 ohm minimum. So I won't go below that, you know, because if I put a 1 ohm woofer on this, it's probably gonna make it clip and not work right. So we don't want to do that, and you don't want to stress out the amp, you know, by going under its load setting. So that way it'll be happy, you know, and then it'll play real good. So let me put this back in here. All right guys, so check out right here. This is where I grabbed my remote wire to power up the system. So I went ahead and ran the blue wire through here, and it's coming in here. And your accessory is right besides this fuse. That's a cigarette lighter fuse, so that's the only one that's an accessory right here. So what I did was, I didn't have a tapping style fuse, so I made my own right here with a terminal. So you can see right here it has the spade, and then I created it with female terminals. And then you can put, you know, like a mini fuse or the standard fuse. I had mini, so that's what I used right here, and I just made them real tight so that they won't move. And that's pretty much it right there. So if you move the fuse over to here, that'll actually make your cigarette lighter up in the front of the car to be an accessory. But since it's in the up position, then it's 12 volts all the time, just like in the GM trucks. But since I wanted an accessory, I left it up, and I'm putting the pin right here so I can get the accessory power to turn on my amps and, you know, accessories like that. But other than that, if you don't want to do that, you can purchase the adapter, you know, and I'll link them on the screen as well, so they can just do like a plug and play, or, you know, make your own if you like to. So I'll be putting this back in here again, just how I had it. So just like that, and that works real good. And then the amplifiers, you know, it's just back there. And the sub, I ended up leaving just like this because it sounded the best firing sideways. I tried it all different positions, and that was the best way that, you know, I got the best sound out of this sub right here with the box. But it looks pretty good. I'm probably just gonna bolt it down let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, if you like this or not, and you know, if you would mount your sub just like this. So I just gotta bolt it down, that way it doesn't move around or slide, and you can still, you know, get to the battery right here without no issues. I just gotta put that cover back on and, you know, cover up where I put in my added fuse for the system. But let me go ahead and test it out real quick. Alright guys, so everything is installed in the car, and I like the way that the speakers sound. They actually sound really clear, so I would recommend getting the DS18s. I would probably do them again, you know, on my own car too. They're pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and test them out for you right now. But as you can see, you know, the headliner is off for next time, because I am gonna be working on the Starlight for this car, and that'll be pretty much it. But let me see if I can just test it out real quick for you, and let's see if you can hear any difference on the system. But it's actually pretty clear.
For you, babe, I do cross for you, babe. And you know I see you more if I had time for you, babe. Not for you, babe, I do cross for you, babe. I need
I'm not sure if you can hear the clarity, but they sound really good. Like I said, I do like the speakers. This is the first time using them actually, but they sound really good. I like them with that bullet tweeter in the middle of them, and then those dash speakers, you know, I guess bouncing off the glass, they sound pretty good. But that'll be it for this video, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. We're gone.
They own me, wait the soundtrack. They call me Sir Coop, cause I show them how to act. I can cause heart attacks. Bitch, I'm the realest. You count